Welcome to Consulting Mastery, where we help B2B consultants master the business of consulting. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Ahmed. Join us as we explore the art of delivering outstanding client value, earning a higher income, and thriving in today's marketplace. Do you need to be the world's best marketer to be able to grow your B2B consulting, professional service, advisory business? Or can you get away with being good enough and a little bit better than your competition? Let's find out, shall we? But before we get there, if you're looking for help in becoming a little bit of a better marketer and executing on better marketing and attracting better clients and raising your prices and building some pipeline or any of the above, really, go to 90daypipeline.com/talk and we'll find out if we can help you. That's 90daypipeline.com/talk. One of our earlier episodes, I'm looking at March 2023. So, we've been doing this podcast for over a year, by the way. Congratulations, Carrie.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us. So it's episode number 3. In fact, it's titled, I'm Not a Marketer. And from what I recall, we told you that you in fact are. And the point
whether
of this
you know
episode
it or not.
was, whether you know it or not, you might not be a good one, but you're a marketer. And the point of this episode was, I believe it's a common refrain that we hear from people, right? Is I'm not a marketer. And our services and 90-day pipeline, our coaching program is primarily targeted to, non-marketers, although we get a lot of marketers, which is a separate conversation altogether. We hear this a lot. Well, I'm not a marketer. I don't know how to do this stuff, right? And embedded in the statement of I'm not a marketer is a certain hesitation. We don't want to be a marketer, right? I don't have the skill set. It's not my thing. It's not my aspiration. And I believe in that episode, our core message was, well, actually you are a marketer because you run a business. And so you got to think like one. And you can say I'm not a marketer all you want. And all that means is you're not a very good marketer right now. And if you want to grow your business, you got to be a better marketer. And the thing I want to clarify today is, how good do you need to be? And I'll tell you where I think people get tripped up with this. Actually, this happened earlier today. Well, somebody on my sales team said to me, I had somebody ask, like, you guys send out a lot of emails and your content is very good and this, that, and the other. Like, do I need to do it that way? Do I have to do what you do? Like, do I have to do it the way that you do it? So I think a lot of people look at examples of good marketing and they're thinking to themselves, well, I couldn't do that. What do you say to them?
I'll tell you what I say, but I just want to layer something in there, which is often that comes from a very real place because most of the people we work with have built their expertise often in the corporate world. And so they have lived through having a marketing department, right? Having a whole bunch of folks who are highly trained and, know all of the fancy pants terms and technicalities around marketing. And so I think to answer the question about how good of a marketer you need to be or not, we need to talk about what the whole point of marketing is and what marketing means to your business. And that is, quite frankly, part of the answer in the conversations that I have with people, because it's not about you deciding and being delusional enough to think that you can pull off the same thing that a marketing department of $100 million company can pull off. But if you really distill down what the point is, right? Why are you marketing? Then it's a lot easier to get clear about what the thresholds are that you need to pass in order to be a good enough and then good marketer for your target market in your space, doing the thing that you do.
So let's start there. And we may be repeating some of what's in that earlier episode, and that's fine, just to level set us. But let's define the purpose of this exercise that we call marketing. And I'm going to quote Peter Drucker, the father of modern management philosophy, Harvard Business School legend, who said, the purpose of a business enterprise is to create a customer. Therefore, there are two functions to a business enterprise: marketing and innovation. That's a rough paraphrasal of what Peter Drucker says. Purpose of business: create a customer. Therefore, you have two things, two functions, only two functions: marketing and innovation. Innovation can also be understood as product, right? That's the thing that you deliver, and the process of making that better and better and better. Call that innovation. And then you have marketing, because marketing is what actually brings the customer to the table, right? So to put a simpler way, marketing wins the deal, innovation delivers on the promise. So your job as an owner, and the reason why, we're insisting that you are in fact a marketer, is to bring people to the table, right? Like, that's, as a business owner, that's your number one job. And obviously we see people all the time who, in practice, they weight delivery over marketing. And it's funny, whenever I do a workshop on this topic, I'll often ask, what's the most important function in a business, in your consulting business? And I'll invariably get a bunch of people saying, our audience at least, saying delivery, fulfillment, the service. And I go, well, okay, I get it. It's important, but how important is delivery if you don't have clients? Like, can you have delivery without clients? Can you have fulfillment without marketing? Can you have service delivery without marketing? Well, not really. Now, can you have a business without, with poor fulfillment, poor delivery? You could. Wouldn't be a good business. I'm not advocating for it, right? But it can exist, right? And so, therefore, the more existential function in a business is the marketing function, because without it, there are no clients. Without clients, there's no business.
The other piece that I think is important, and it's funny, we talked about this a year ago, and as we're talking about it again, I feel like we should probably bring this up on a regular basis anyway. Like, it's probably been too long that it's been a year. Because the other piece of this, and we joked about it at the beginning, is recognizing that you're marketing whether you think you are or not. So being out there, kind of walking around all sort of loosey-goosey with an unclear message, kind of talking to random people in different ways all the time, that is marketing. Every single thing that you do in the outside world is marketing. And so, when people say to me, like, I don't do any marketing, I don't engage in that kind of activity, but I've been to 3 conferences and I've talked to 46 people in the last 6 months, and, list all of the initiatives here. This is the other thing that is really, really critical to have some clarity on, is that marketing is, what we're calling marketing is really creating your brand, right? Creating the impression that people have of you, creating the image. There's a discussion there about reach, how many people know who you are, but you're doing marketing regardless. What we're advocating for is taking that energy and effort and doing it in a way that intentionally builds the reputation that you want to have and intentionally connects with the people that you want to connect with.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that we hear all the time is, well, my business has grown entirely on the back of referrals and word of mouth. I haven't done any marketing. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have. Yep. Because referrals and word of mouth is marketing. Like, people are talking about you and they're referring to you, and you probably have had a role to play in facilitating those introductions. That's marketing. And to be fair, if you've grown, it's been effective marketing. Mm-hmm. You typically expect us to poo-poo on referrals and word of mouth, right? No, but if it worked for you, if you grew your business on the back of that and it's been effective, then fantastic. That was good marketing for that season, right? Now, what invariably happens, and this is, typically the most common trigger to work with us, is eventually you get to the point where you realize that referrals and word of mouth in the way that they're traditionally done are insufficient to grow your business, either because you lost some clients and your network's drying up, and or you just have more ambitious goals for the business that can't be necessarily delivered on with strictly referrals and word of mouth. Your network's too limited. There's a bunch of reasons why, but you get to this point where you realize I need to do more. And then certainly there is a lot more to marketing than just referrals and word of mouth, but that was marketing. That was effective in a particular season. And now you might need some new marketing.
What I find interesting about the way that you describe that is a lot of the folks that come to us, most of them, quite frankly, see marketing as one of two things. The thing that they're not doing right now, or this gigantic, departmental drive that costs, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, a thing that they can't do. And maybe what's at the base of all this is for, I'm going to say each person or each business owner, but in reality, there's a group that we work with at least. And it's about defining, what does marketing mean, right? To your point, in this season where referrals aren't going to be enough or aren't going to be reliable enough. What does it look like today? Because you know what? There may be a day where you do need that big marketing department. And when you get to that place, good for you. Very exciting. What we're talking about is the space in between. And there's a continuum there, right? There are folks who just need to kind of get the ball rolling at the start. And then we also work with people who have been able to set up a relatively predictable pipeline, but it's not enough, right? They want to grow faster, farther, faster, bigger, stronger. And so what's important to do is to figure that out for today, for this season, as you put it, and then rethink it, right? Rethink it 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. And don't get stuck in assuming that the thing that you are either doing or the thing that you think is marketing, the way you're defining it, is the right thing for you in this moment.
Well, and I'll tell you what the goal ought to be, and this will help you determine whether or not you have a marketing problem. The goal ought to be excess demand for your services.
Yes.
So if you go back to Economics 101, when your prof talked about supply and demand and showed you that really simple graph, right, with supply and supply curve and demand curve, and the intersection of those two is equilibrium. What does that mean? That means that when demand and supply are equal, that is, the demand for your services equals the supply for your services, you achieve a certain equilibrium. Okay. And now, what happens when demand exceeds supply? There's more demand than there is supply. Well, the price goes up, right? Because now the seller, are in higher demand. There's more demand for your services than you have the capacity to deliver on. Therefore, it becomes scarce and more expensive. Okay. But price is just merely one consequence of this. The important thing in that graph to understand is that when your demand for your services exceeds supply, you have more power. Right? That's why we call it power positioning in our frameworks. You have more power because now all of a sudden you don't need every client. You don't need every deal that comes your way. You don't have to work with, questionable fits. You don't have to continue engaging with the client that's kind of causing you a bit of grief, right? Because demand exceeds supply. You have more options. Therefore, you can choose who you want to work with. You have power, you have control. Clients need you more than you need them. And that's my contention here. It's probably a whole episode on this, is that should be the goal of every consulting or professional services business. Probably worth talking about why. Because if that's not your goal, if the opposite is true, if supply exceeds demand, you've always got excess supply, right? You're the airplane that always has empty seats on it. What happens? You're trying to sell seats at a discount. Come in, but just get on the plane. Like whatever you can pay. So you'll discount your fees. You'll keep working with bad clients because you can't afford to replace them. You can't grow the business because you're just trying to meet your current capacity needs. And at the end of the day, if there's a consequence to this, a real tangible consequence this has on client engagements. Because if you need the business, you are no longer an impartial advisor. If you need the client, if losing that client, this is why having a whale client is a disaster of a scenario. If you need the business, if the business went away and that would represent, major consequences for you, you are no longer impartial and you are no longer giving that client the best possible advice because you need something from them. And as a client, I never want to work with that person. The one that needs me and I know is holding on to the business because they need it, I no longer trust their advice because they're no longer impartial. So, long way of saying your goal ought to be excess demand. It's better for everybody. It's better for you. It's better for the client for the reasons we just discussed. And if you're not there, if you have a current amount of supply and your demand doesn't exceed that, you have a marketing problem.